Okay, recently I played Cyberpunk, the amazing game that is under a lot of controversial scrutiny at the moment. The game, in my opinion, was absolutely fantastic. I played it on my brand new Xbox Series X, and it was glitch filled, but I found that it didn't really bother me. I found the game incredibly immersive, interesting, detailed, beautiful. As you play as a mercenary named V, thrown into Night City, this futuristic dystopian Blade Runner-esque cyberpunk city. At the initial game, control everything. You can choose which kind of tier of person you want to be, nomad, corpo, or street kid, while also choosing your gender and customizing every single aspect of your person. This is possibly the most customization I've ever seen in any RPG to date.
I'm V.
I'm V.
You can literally customize every single aspect of your human. Down to hair color, genitalia size, color, shape, everything. It was intense. But yeah, obviously I spent about 35 minutes just on this section before getting into the game at launch, just because I love that kind of stuff. So with this game in mind, your gender and sexual orientation play a role in dialogue options at certain points, and the replayability in this game is fantastic, as if you change what type of starting classification you want to be or what type of gender, potentially there could be 6 different types of playthroughs in this game minimum. So that was fantastic. The game is very cool. It had elements of stealth similar to Dishonored, had elements of just open world like Fallout and Borderlands. It was very hard to actually find a fault in this game, as I found every aspect of it was just the best part of previously seen RPG games. The game reminded me of a kind of advanced version of Deus Ex. As in, you could be as stealthy, or your playstyle can be exactly your own, how you want to do it. The game is very intense in sections. Night City really is like a specific character in that elements throughout the game and elements throughout like side missions and main missions just completely go crazy. Which just adds to the kind of spontaneity and like overwhelming immersiveness of the game. Meeting new characters, different situations, it just is like a roller coaster. Fantastic. Like it was a super enriched world, well thought out, and I found it just completely immersive. Like because of the first person style, you really do become V. The game features like a variety of different side missions known as gigs,
Smart gun with built-in AI, experimental model.
other specific quests. If you're bored of the main story, it has hundreds and hundreds of side missions showered throughout the entire map. This game is like a world of its own. You can just get lost into if you feel like it. The game features hundreds and hundreds of hours of additional stuff. The combat in the game is extremely intense. Depending on how you want to play, close range or long range, the game features a multitude of different weapons and ammunition to suit whatever playstyle you're interested in. Some of the side missions were extremely outlandish and just strange, to break from the monotony of just shooting heads all the time, which was a welcome change and addition as you kind of got through mid to late game. Like all games, the Cyberpunk 2077 features like a currency in which is needed to get everything, including buying additional vehicles.
No, not that. Shooting at me with my own gun. DeLorean 3516. Signature sound I know
featuring a cred system which actually plays in detail when it comes to dialogue options. The more you kind of help people in the world, it additionally adds benefit to your street credibility, i.e. making you more respectable and able to associate and pick the best dialogue options in certain situations, in side missions and in the main quest. Mission variety was a huge high point for this game. One of the best parts of the game, in my opinion, was the Cyber Psycho missions, where you track down rogue enhanced humans and put them down in order to help the NCPD.
Probably already gathered it's a cyber psycho.
Are you
Oh, and I prefer if you didn't die.
Please jump.
It features the most intense kind of semi-boss battles in the entire game, and also there's 17 missions in total and none of them felt similar or the same, which included investigation, making you really feel like you're a futuristic detective trying to solve and stop these psychopaths. A nice combination between Judge Dredd and Blade Runner. Ultimately, the ending achievement is called I Am the Law, which I found hilarious. The game is completely littered with pop culture references. I Am the Law. Achievement for tracking down and completing all 17 Cyber Psycho missions. Yeah, that was one of my favourite mission quest lines in the game. The game features an amazing array of characters that add completely to the immersiveness of the game, really making you actually care for their well-being and also wanting to make sure that you continue to see them as you progress through the game, which was it's hard to actually accomplish that, because sometimes side characters and even minor characters can just sometimes feel like they're getting in the way, but not in this game. In every kind of in every type of iteration of a character, you just wanted more and wanted to kind of see how their story progressed, and that's a big kind of point for this game. It's not just your story, but you wanted to kind of see how other people's stories finalized and finished. Spoilers ahead from now, I would proceed at your own caution. Speaking of the story, it comes to a point of no return where you have to initiate by talking to Hanako Arasaka and now deciding which specific ending you'd like to achieve. As far as I could tell, there was at least 6 endings.
You're running out of time. Don't delay. Make your
Initially, the main story is V is infected with a semi-parasitic construct in the shape of Johnny Silverhand. As his program engram starts to override yours, he's essentially taking over your body as an alien informant, making you and your consciousness obsolete.
I'm calling Pan Am.
Pan Am.
So during the ending sequence, you decide what you want to do, and initially my first playthrough I decided to go for Pan Am.
Didn't think anything could scare you. You're your worst.
You're one of us now, B. You're an Aldecaldo, damn it.
Thanks for everything, V, and don't worry. We'll get you into that Mikoshi. Isn't that the way
welcome
of
to
it?
the family.
A warm welcome for our newest Aldecaldo!
Welcome to the clan! The most dysfunctional ever!
Thanks.
Come on, B. Say your piece!
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Everything.
V,
Yeah?
are you not afraid to die?
The reason I chose the Pan Am ending was because Pan Am is by far one of the most, I don't know, it's the closest realistic relationship I think I've ever seen in a video game to date, where it wasn't as you see in like games like GTA,
Good like that.
where a relationship is more associated with just kind of
You have no idea how much
physicality. It was more to do with just a realistic view on, a realistic depiction on relationships.
For B.
Yeah, the ending game is kind of the twilight of the game, which involves like an amazing explosive kind of finale where you battle up against Arasaka forces trying to bulldoze your way in order to get towards Mikoshi. You fight like waves and waves of difficult and more increasingly difficult enemies as you basically test and throw out every single thing you've learned in terms of cyberware and best weapons galore. At the end of the game, essentially the main story gets to a point where it's actually not possible for V to continue on living in his body.
Christ, will you just skip to the end?
After I transfer your construct into your body, you will die. It is inevitable. It is imminent.
No. No way. That was not our deal.
You shall live for about 6 months. Perhaps somewhat more.
No, no, no.
When I first seen this scene, I was severely upset, but I did choose to basically spend my remaining 6 months with Pan Am, as I think would be my initial gut reaction in that scenario if it was me, to take my body back and live whatever life I have left to live.
If you need to, I mean. I'll wait in the car.
Anyway, that's Night City. You bid Night City farewell.
Well, Night City. Good night and good luck.
Continue with your terminal illness until the parasitic life form eventually destroys your body. Pan Am's star ending was possibly just my favourite one out of the 4 I did get to play, as I just found it the most kind of like realistic and like true to how I designed and wanted my character to react in this world, to basically just keep fighting until I die then, if that was to be the only option. I thought that was this was possibly the true and best ending for the game. Just right into the darkness with Pan Am.
It's perfect. All great, Pan Am. We're going home.
Yeah, I thought this was the best ending. The best way for my character to kind of finish the story. But there's more endings. Essentially, the next pragmatic reason was, in my rationale, to just, if my body is now designed for Johnny, I wanted Johnny to have it, and I wanted to see what he would do with that.
I'm just scared for you.
I'll see you around, Johnny.
The game's ending was quite like emotional, because it is. Throughout like the 50 or plus hours of you playing this game, you do get very attached to characters, and you know, the story does a great job of just that level of immersion where you feel like this is your story and you are V, and this is a shit hand to be dealt, and then you have to kind of figure out the best way to deal with it, which is fantastic. Like it's true narration, and it was just an overall great story. Johnny essentially, after V goes, adopts and overwatches a young boy in his musical career.
Haven't forgotten a thing.
And then he continues on to a better life and leaves Night City behind. Second best ending, I would have said, like, as in Johnny is now at peace and he's able to continue with his life. Now for the worst ending possibly in the game.
The was that? God, how you so stubborn?
Inherited your finer traits.
Is where you decide to actually help Takemura in rescuing Hanako, to Johnny's complete disapproval. The game starts off where Takemura comes to escort you to help rescue Hanako Arasaka.
You look like shit.
At the residence, with the help of Hanako, you both, all 4 people, including Hellman, board a helicopter to get to Arasaka Tower.
Scratch too.
That is a lie. He faded out in the car.
Just tired.
Saburo is still in control of Arasaka Corporation in the form of a construct. You attempt to capture Yobinoru alive with the help of Takemura, in order for Saburo to retake Arasaka Corporation. Working through the office block with Takimura, you eventually come to Yobanoru's quarters. He, being completely defeated, surrenders.
You won't need.
Just one bullet left. It's not for you.
Haniko comes to take him alive. With all of that put to rest, Hellman escorts V to Mikoshi in order to figure out the best way to try and save his life. The strangest part of this mission is V wakes up in a hospital facility run by Arasaka.
When can I expect a full report?
I will send it by the end of this week.
It's revealed through a news report whilst in the clinic, Saburo has stolen Yobanoru's body with the help of Haniko during your rehabilitation. This next sequence is completely crazy. During a nondescript amount of time, you are put through rigorous tests, both mental and physical. It is then revealed with the arrival of Takimura that it is actually all in vain. Arasaka scientists were unable to actually remove Johnny's construct, and your life is still terminal, and you only have a remaining 6 months left to live. This is possibly the worst ending. I felt kind of the rehabilitation sequence was almost a bit maddening, and you just wanted the game to be over, and it was just overall the worst kind of ending, I thought.
I think you ought to go with Rogue. Two of you together got the best shot.
You absolutely sure? No going back on this, you know. Not done yet.
But then the third ending I went for was Johnny and Rogue's romantic line was a great one to go for next as the third ending, where it's probably the way I wanted to assault Arasaka Tower. Full on blunt force trauma to the tower. Possibly the best kind of ending in terms of action.
Then we breach a wall on the 76th floor, jump from the AV, and survive the landing thanks to our anti-gravs.
The game is like beautiful looking. Like I might be a bit rose-colored glasses on that because like this is the first game I played on the Xbox Series X on a 4K television, but I just found it absolutely beautiful to look at.
Turn back time, Johnny. Ever. But you can always start over.
The ending again gets tragic as you make your way to Mikoshi with Rogue.
I remember you.
In all endings you get attacked by Atom Smasher, the cyborg who killed Johnny back in 2020. Yeah, Atom Smasher was the last kind of boss battle and possibly the most intense. Like at this point my arsenal was pretty good, but still I found this extremely a struggle. Eventually he falls down though, and it's a satisfying ending to finally just... Finally you get the satisfying thing of shooting him in the head. Then for the third time jacking in.
If you're not ready to die, then you're gonna live.
Johnny.
So what do I do?
Johnny's story, he true to his word, he brought Rogue in to get justice by killing Smasher, but then let V continue on with his 6 months. This is possibly the saddest ending like I felt for, because V doesn't have much of his 6 months left to go back to. But it was kind of Johnny's best ending as he finished his goal of getting revenge on Atom Smasher, and then also helping Rogue finally come to grips with his death.
They'd say you're taking too big a risk. Poetically speaking,
basically the last ending is V is just done with life and he wants to choose the best way to kind of get out, and
All of them.
now called the Legend of the Afterlife, he wants to go out with a bang, and he does so amazingly by like pulling off the, or maybe not pulling off, it ends very ambiguously. Yeah, the endings were funny. None were very specifically satisfying. They all kind of had a kind of bittersweet taste to it, where it was more so bitter. But I still to this day think that like the Pan Am ending was the best, as it was my first initial gut reaction to go for that one. But overall, the story obviously was the highlight of the game. It was incredibly nuanced and something I've never heard of before. Well, it had, you know, obviously elements of...
Hello, Night City.
I know, I found the story completely good. That I was sad it was ending, and as I was playing the game I peppered like 30 or 40 side missions in between each main mission before continuing on to it. But no, Cyberpunk in total I would say it was possibly one of the best games I've played in the last like 3 or 4 years. I found it incredibly immersive. It was similar to like a VR game where you felt like you were actually the protagonist. You actually felt like you were V, and the relationships with the characters were the best part. Every character you either liked or hated, but you actually felt like you knew them personally, as they were completely fleshed out, not lazily done as a side thought, but the relationships were the most powerful and important part of the game, as it kind of put the meat into the game. And it's one thing having a gorgeous looking landscape and city, but if the characters and relationships don't follow up and the side missions aren't any good, or they kind of feel laxed and boring, then there's not much of a game there. But no, the relationships really made the game what it is. And no, I very much look forward to playing it again already, possibly when 3 or 4 more patches have been added to it and it's actually perfected in a couple of months. But no, even with all the glitches and all the kind of bad press that CD Projekt RED have been getting at launch, I still found the game fantastic. And yeah, I can't wait to play it again, and also see what the future DLC looks like, and hopefully that's fantastic, which I'd say it would be. Anyway, thank you for watching. I will look forward to seeing any future information from Cyberpunk, and hope you enjoyed the video. Bye bye.
Well, Night City. Good night and good luck.
See you on the other side.